Oh, hi there, everyone, and Lardites, and probably the whole new pack of trolls I just sent after me for doing something wild and crazy. But anyway, I have something to address, okay? So, to the commentary on Jewel's channel right now, I don't want to say the name, but I told you that I would say this so you could hear me speak it, so maybe it doesn't sound as harsh. Your comment was, don't put up her son. It's not fair. He didn't do anything wrong. He's a product of his environment. You wouldn't want your kids up there, and I wouldn't have even put up a pool. Okay, so those were your words to Jules. Well, then when I said, basically that he was a victim of his own environment, and I have done recordings to say that much, to really, implore on everybody to give him sympathy, give him a wide give him a wide clearance for his actions because of the influence that he's under, Well, he started behaving in a way that was quite shocking. Okay, so basically I said, hey, look, he was off limits until he started doing things, and he's well an adult and he knows better, and he was casting judgment on those kind of people who are like cashiers and work for a minimum wage and scum of the earth. Okay, with his mom referring to people who are less than them. Okay, so I said, look, until he started doing those things, and I said, it's not fair to compare putting Jewel's kids up there as to him being put up there, because his own mother put him out there, and he himself puts him out there to try to become YouTube famous. Okay? Jules has never ever exploited her children or animals or anything like that for views. Jules does what she does because she believes in exposing the truth. So when you saw my comment that said as much, you said, stop yelling at me. Well, I'm not yelling, I'm stating the facts, and you said you wouldn't. Well, that's obvious. If you were going to, you would have. But to tell Jules that you wouldn't have done this, you wouldn't even put up a poll, to me, it's like Jules is doing this. She doesn't get any super chat. She doesn't get any revenue off of it. So anything she does in the seek to expose the truth, in the venture to expose the truth, she's doing on her own time. So I wouldn't even say, hey, I wouldn't do this or whatever, because she's doing us all a favor. She's doing the work that I'm not talented enough to do. So then when you said that, when Jules said, hey, Darlene's not yelling at you, no one's yelling at you, and you said, oh, it's an American expression, you don't understand. Well, that's kind of offensive as well, because Jules damn well does understand what we're doing on this other side of the pond. And then when I explained to you nicely that, hey, I'll address this so that, you can see I'm not yelling at you, this is just a conversation, and this is how things get taken out of text, you wrote chill to me. And so I am being really patient with you, but you have to understand that I've seen a lot of passive aggressivity on the GB and from followers like her and her. And so right now you pressed about 3 buttons that are making me really leery of you, that you're passive aggressive, and you say things in a way that are harsh. And if you don't mean them to be, the second that I say, hey, let me smooth this out so you can hear it, don't tell me to chill. Okay? I mean, everybody knows that I'm going through hell right now, and so, my patience patience-omometer isn't high. My feathers are ruffled very easily. So, I can take offense to quite anything right now, and that's nobody's fault, and that's why, I slow down in everything that I'm doing while I'm out in the public as a whole, because I'm learning to live a different life, and I'm going through a lot and still dealing with panic attacks quite frequently, and I'm doing the best I can, but I don't I don't mean to say anything other than to, you know, say, hey, this is what it is. And when you said, oh, well, I didn't know that he's done that. Well, that makes perfect sense because, like I said, and you said you've listened to my stuff before, I was like, hey, everybody, back off. She's exploited him. She's taken video of him when he's reacting to her. And you don't do that. That wouldn't be admissible in a court. I was speaking to an attorney yesterday, and they said that, you know, recordings, the courtroom even, they require the whole conversation. You can't take an excerpt out of a conversation. Like what she was doing so that she would get an increased payment from the government for SSDI for her son. She would anger him. She wouldn't film what she was doing. She'd be drunk and aggressive. And then he'd come back out and be like, leave me alone. Leave me alone, right? Well, she'd film that part, not hers, okay? So anything of that, and to that point, I was like, that poor kid. And he still does have issues, and he does better the longer he's away from her. Now, when animal control came, and he was somewhere in the background, and she was talking about what kind of scum of the earth must have called animal control and whatnot, and he was like, yeah, what kind of sickos? Probably sickos that work minimum wage and are cashiers at like Walgreens. And I mean, bad. He knows better than to say those things at his age and for his social development. And that's just one of the many instances in which we are seeing that he behaves very inappropriately and immaturely for his age. And to say that a whole class of people who work for minimum wage are below you when you and your mother have existed off of welfare for the last 2 decades. It's not good. Now, when she took him to the Thanksgiving, he pulled the same thing she did poolside with, I think it was Gina on this cruise ship, where she took 2 sips of beer, and because she has a teeny weeny tiny little tummy now, she was drunk, and that's how she laughs when she's drunk, so she must be drunk. And then saying Burke was drunk when was what, a mere age of 10, so she's saying that obnoxiously and loudly for everybody to look like, oh, you and your child are drunk? Well, take that snapshot, if you've seen that, and apply it to what she did when somebody out of the grace of their heart saw LBL and her son, and she was probably saying, oh yeah, well, I don't have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving, and they're like, let's make it Friendsgiving. Come on over to my house. Bring your boy and let's just love on each other. Well, she was obnoxious, went through and basically cased their house, put their whole house on the World Wide Web, every detail of their house and details of their family, and she was out there bashing on the decor and saying how she just wouldn't decorate like this, and she's like, look at this, like inferring that, oh my god, these people are hoarders. Well, on the inside, her son was pretending to be drunk just as she was poolside in this stranger's house, sitting there acting very obnoxiously to these people who had so graciously invited them over. And so there are several examples of him being an adult and you know, like I say, he does good, and he's going to need a good, strong spouse that shakes the LBL out of him and loves him more than anybody would expect somebody needs to be loved, because he did not have love. And so he needs help, but his behavior right now is pretty much LBL Junior, and she has put that out there. So it's fair game for Jules to, in my opinion, bring those videos to light so that you can see how personality disorders are passed on from generation to generation. If that person does not see from the very beginning that these people around me are freaking crazy and I don't belong. and they go the opposite. It seems like, especially with narcissism, you either get it or you become the opposite. And oftentimes I see the cycle going narcissist, empath, narcissist, because you go so far over to not be a jackass of a parent, and then you end up raising a spoiled brat, which I may have done. I damn well might have done that in the circumstance I'm dealing with, and I have to come to grips with maybe I overindulged my child, and I'm to blame for some of the things that have occurred. But it's tough when you're raised by mentally ill people who abuse you. And there is no handbook for parenting, you know, so I just did the best I could, and I loved the hell out of my kids, and 5 out of 6 love me. So 5 out of 6 would never have done what was done to me, but anyway, I digress. So I'm not yelling, I'm not doing anything like that. So, you know, please don't say chill, please don't tell me to stop yelling. I'm just having a conversation and stating my viewpoint. If you want to continue this in a way that you understand what I'm saying, and we have a conversation and we go great from here, great. Otherwise, just block me, get me out of your world. If I'm not your cup of tea, drop me. I don't, you know, that's fine. I just don't want any more tit for tat and you know, causing any kind of drama on any channel. I don't like that at all. So, like I say, sorry, there was a state trooper getting rather close to me, and I didn't think I'd been doing anything too naughty. I got the dad van today, so I'm not in my usual rides where, okay, if a man of the law wants to speak with me, I better just assume I'm, you know, gonna pull over. So, you know, I'm like, can this thing really speed? You know, I had a flat tire the other day, so I was super lucky because I had been highway driving and my tire said it was low. Not terribly low, but, you know, to the point where I came home and said, hey, I need some air in my tire. Well, then the next day when I went to just go somewhere local, I pulled out of my driveway and all of a sudden, like, what? And my car was pulling and all of a sudden my tire pressure goes to 1. And I'm like, what? So I had to go to alternate measures and use the dad van. So anyway, that's my viewpoint on it. And I think that you were asking me, I'm still kind of directing this conversation to the person I was having a convo with. You were asking me to do a commentary, or you were asking Jules to, on the LBL birthday, and I can't say anything about that. That's just freaking sad. Number one, her audio was so bad, it sounded like she was broadcasting from a tuna can. And of course, people were telling her that her audio was off, so she blames it on them. Oh no, push restart. Push restart, it's not mine. Rrr! So finally she's like, all right, if it's mine, then I'll hang up and I'll come back. Come and find me. It's my birthday. Well, she came back and it sounds just as crappy. And she was just doing the same thing, and, you know, putting on her makeup. She looks terrible. She looks jaundiced to me. Jaundiced, you know, is when your liver ain't working right. Because something ain't right. She looked really, really yellow. Does anybody else notice that? So I don't know if she's drinking more. I don't know if the pills are, you know, loading back up. I don't know, but she doesn't look good. And her face looks really bloated to me as well. And, you know, she said she was getting ready because they were going to have a party with presents and a cake. And it's just sad because no one's going to do that. She's burnt every bridge that was ever built and doesn't make any effort to be part of rebuilding the bridge. And, I mean, it's pitiful. I mean, I can just say, you know, where she went, where she was a lady who lunched with her mother all the time, you know, and mommy would take her out for her birthday and shopping and everything, but she abused her mother to the point of no return, to where her mother was being elder abused. We all know. We don't know how far that went. You know, she's admitted to this. She said something terrible, but she says Brett didn't. She says Burp didn't say anything terrible, but she might have said some things that were terrible, but Burp didn't. Oh, we don't know what made Carol run in the night with nothing but the clothes on her back and never look back. But she doesn't have that anymore. She would have. She would have. I don't think Carol wanted to run away. You know, I think that she enjoyed having the company and not being alone, and for all intents and purposes, she raised Burp. It seemed like LBL and Burp were siblings, and as narcissists do, they triangulate, and so it would be Burp and LBL against Grandma, and LBL and Burp against Grandma, and Grandma and Burp against LBL. Okay. Anywho, and then Friday Doobie was just spazzing out, man. He was just I mean, I say, I am not a person who could figure out how to kennel a dog. I would feel too bad for them, and you know, there's just a couple things. So I don't have dogs, but I just don't see responsible dog owners ignoring their dogs barking the entire time they're on YouTube. Like, get off of the YouTube and take care of your dog's need. Just like I don't understand people who do their YouTubes and they've got their children, you know, screaming and crying and needing something, and they continue on. You know, it's you know, take care of your responsibilities and then get on. And if you have to stop the video and say, I will come back, I need to go and do this, I need to go feed the dog, whatever, go ahead. But I mean, it's bad. He's just out of control. And remember, she lives in an apartment. I don't know how she lives in an apartment, but of course, if somebody makes a noise complaint, oh, they must be one of the haters, because she's big on YouTube, you know. So anybody who's big on YouTube, yeah, they have haters, and so those haters must be complaining. They found out where she lives, and so she's got to get a gun. Typical narc language, right? It wouldn't be that she's the noisiest, most obnoxious neighbor known to mankind, and she's ruining the floors by having all of the dogs shit on the floor, because she will never ever take them out or potty train them or do anything that a responsible dog owner would. And she feeds them people food, so ultimately they get sick, they look weird, and then she starts the self-grooming on them, has Burp hold the animal down while she goes hog wild with a freaking razor and scissors and electric razor. And don't get me started, okay? Don't get me started. So anyway, the big news is that she's gonna go back to school. Apparently, she just decided she wasn't costing the taxpayers enough. But I don't know. I don't know what age it is where you go and it's just senior fees where you don't have to pay tuition. I know there is that. So it could be that she could just go. She was like, here, and she got herself in a big frickin' LBL lie. Did you guys catch it? She goes, oh, no, the big news, I'm going back to school. Yeah, I'm going back to school. No, I'm not going to be a lawyer or a dentist or a real estate agent or anything like that. Oh, but I thought she was a real estate agent. And I thought that that's the story of why she doesn't have to work or anything and lives this life of luxury in Section 8 apartments and has food stamps and because she invested so well in her real estate. And now let's talk about this. You know how many GoFundMe she's had, and having people send her private donations and whatnot for her son's college because Carol stole it all. So she couldn't afford that last semester for him to go to college, except for that GoFundMe that she did. She went and bought a bunch of stuff at Bed Bath & Beyond because, you know, tuition, shopping spree for herself. What's the difference? People have GoFundMes all the time, right? Well, how could she possibly afford to go back to college if she couldn't do that for her son? And it's had to be at the behest of her subbies to help Burp go to college. Yeah? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So, yeah. And it's funny that she lumped in She's not going to be a lawyer or a real estate agent, which shows she doesn't even know how much schooling a real estate agent would have, which means that she didn't actually go to the freaking real estate training thing, because it's like a 6 to 8 week course. You go and it's based on your own talent and your own investment. You know, anybody can be a real estate agent. Doesn't mean you're going to be a successful one. You have to invest quite a lot of your own money in marketing and quite a, work under somebody else and whatnot. You might get lucky and sell one house and make $10,000 in commission this one, and then not make commission for the next 12 months. I mean, you never know. But the fact that she doesn't, to be an attorney, you have to have a bachelor's degree before then you apply to law school. So she's saying that she went to community college before, and remember when she was laying off all those colleges and saying that she was a teacher the one time? Yeah. Except for she doesn't know the first thing about college, and she's going to start going to community college, maybe for pottery, because she really likes being pottery, and she's a jewelry designer. Yeah. Why don't you pack up that ugly ass jewelry and go to one of those vendor shows that you go around and critique every poor vendor there that's been there since the butt crack of dawn and brought their own table in and brought their own goods in and sits there, and they paid to be at that event, and have you sit there and film them so then you can go and tell the world that their product sucks and that this is gross and whatnot because you're a better designer and you know how things should be made, and that, this event sucked because it just had doctors and dentists things, because it was a health care. It was an event for women's health. It was a women's health expo that allowed vendors. She didn't even pay attention to that. So why doesn't she take those hideous ass wares and go and be a vendor herself? Go pay to be there all day, haul in a freaking table or two, haul in all your crap from your clown car, and then see